This is the EVP Podcast. Welcome to the EVP Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, DVO, and we have next to me,
I'm Dale.
and
I'm Beaker.
welcome back.
Hey, everybody.
Scary. All right, so this episode is going to be fun because Dale just came back from the Super Bowl.
I wish I was there for the Super Bowl.
No, but you were just in Tampa Bay.
I was.
You were there a week after Super Bowl.
Yep, I was.
That wasn't even part of your plan, right?
No, I didn't realize. I had no. I haven't been watching football at all this season. I had no idea that they were going to have the Super Bowl in Tampa.
You didn't even know Tampa Bay was going to be playing at their own hometown for the Super Bowl.
Did you know?
None of that.
Not that this isn't paranormal, but this is the first time in history that the Super Bowl
Was played in the city.
was played. Actually, it was a home game for one of the teams in the Super Bowl because they have the stadiums are pre-planned out years in advance. And this is the first time it's ever happened to where
the coincidence of that
one of the two teams were actually from the city that the Super Bowl was being played in.
that was pretty
First
awesome.
time ever in football history.
But for the team going, damn, we don't even get to travel for this.
Well, it's like a home crowd for them. They probably didn't mind at all.
Yeah, well,
and actually it helped probably because they won.
didn't really have much of a crowd.
And well, that's true.
I think everybody's tired of seeing Tom Brady win.
I know I was.
I sure am.
I don't even follow football, and I know that Tom Brady plays. Thank you, Bacon Cell.
He throws the pigskin. So Dale, what do you wish that you would have been there during Super Bowl? Like, do you wish you were there a week earlier?
I think it would have been fun still. I know it wasn't going to be as crazy packed as most cities would get during Super Bowl just because of COVID and everything.
Uh-huh.
So I figured, because I mean, the flights were still going to be cheap. So I don't think there was like a big influx of people traveling to the city to party or to go to the game because there was only like so many seats. It was all predetermined and all that. So
That's true.
I heard the city was still busy and nuts for what it was, but probably not near as crazy as it could have been if it was at full capacity. But
Gotcha.
but yeah, it was still fun though. Like, I mean, that place where I went to that we're going to talk about tonight, it was called Ybor City.
Spelled Ybor.
Ybor City, and that place is pretty lively. And when I went there on a Sunday night, it was a Sunday night. I did a ghost tour, and it was popping on a Sunday night.
Well, because you're traveling, that's the one thing you have to do. You have to go investigate.
Yeah.
Any new town you go to, it's in our blood. We must
So
investigate.
you got to remember, though, you were in Florida, not Utah, where you're used to things not happening on a Sunday night.
Yeah, I know. It's like so weird.
That's like when I go to Vegas.
Oh, people
like,
are out.
Well, in Vegas, you expect that. You expect that in Vegas.
Vegas is still pretty busy. Yeah.
But yeah, this place was popping, and I guess it probably would have been popping even more if it wasn't for COVID being a thing.
But you were just telling me that there's some places in like that part of Florida where people don't even really care about masks or.
Well,
anything.
yeah, this was up by Orlando. Yeah, and
Nice.
went to some gas stations and could leave the mask in the car. It's like, this is pretty nice.
You felt free.
Yeah.
So you're saying I'm not safe sitting next to you right now? Is that?
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
I went to a gas station.
I got fuel.
So you didn't really. I guess you didn't like. You have like a place shut down where you investigated, but you took a tour.
Yeah, I just took a ghost tour, but after taking the tour, I didn't realize that I was in the. Well, actually went to that city at first just to take a tour, just on my own, just to check it out. Going down this main street, I'm like, man, all these buildings are haunted as shit. And
It's old. It's an old town, old city.
And then I
I think it
found
was
out
built in what 1890.
late 1800s, and then I found out there's actually a ghost tour there. So hell yeah, buying tickets for the ghost tour. Bought tickets for the ghost tour. Come to find out on this tour, these were some super haunted buildings that were on Travel Channel quite a bit. So like a bunch of shows have been.
Well, as I'm looking up the history, like it looks like so a lot of immigration came there from Spain, Italy, Cuba. Like a lot of immigration was there, and because of the big Italian families, a lot of mob activity was involved
along
in this
with
area.
the influx of the immigration, the mobs came with them.
Right. So it sounds like there's a lot of pretty rich, crazy history in this town.
Yeah. It was
the buildings are all old, and a lot of these buildings were built, and then all of a sudden, a year or two later, the Great Depression happens, and and things get a little crazy when people don't have any money.
This is the Wild West of the East.
Yeah. So pretty interesting. And we were kind of looking up a couple of these buildings. So how many buildings did you do on this ghost tour?
I would say this is 1, 2, 3. I'd say about 6.
Oh, okay. That's actually more than I thought. Okay. And you can feel like some presence in all these buildings.
Only a couple that I actually felt something in. And there was probably stuff in all of these buildings, but I only felt presence from a couple of them, and none. Like, we only went inside of one of the buildings.
Which building was that?
The Cuban Club.
All right. Which is one of the buildings we'll talk about. So, and I know, Beaker, you've been looking up some of the places in this town. Are there any like buildings you guys want to talk about first? I know which one we want to end with, it sounds like, but any of the buildings you guys want to talk about first?
Well, should we talk about the Don Vicente? That's going to be the main.
We'll talk about the end.
Okay, that's going to be the last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that one seems pretty, that's some pretty crazy stories.
All right, well, we can start with the Cuban Club.
Okay, let's start with the Cuban Club.
Okay.
What's some of the history you remember from taking on that ghost tour?
Okay, so that one was being the Cuban clubs. What that meant was that was like their social gathering club. Uh-huh. So like they would all congregate at church, and then after church they would all be still in their Sunday best, and then they would gather at the social clubs and they dance and have dinners and just kind of party till late at night. Nice. But then also during the weeks they would gather there and kind of gamble and do stuff like that. And they would just kind of, people from their countries, and that was kind of their gathering place. But they also had like a fitness area and stuff. But one thing about this club that was different than all the others was there was a swimming pool. None of the other clubs had a pool.
Okay.
And there was one guy's kid who came looking for his dad. And that little kid ended up wandering into the social club with nobody paying attention, somehow slipped into the pool and drowned. So this little kid's spirit is said to be haunting down there in that first level of the Cuban Club. This Cuban Club's like a good 4 levels.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, it's bigger than I thought. I was just reading some of these stories. It looks like a lot of people claim to see a little boy full apparition, or they see like his face peeking in windows, like some of the higher up windows. I see a little boy's face when it should be an empty building, perhaps. So those are some of the things I saw about that little boy.
While we were taking the tour guide showed us a picture that somebody had taken on the tour one day, and in that picture you see that little boy hiding, kind of peeking up above the bar. There's a bar down there.
Oh.
And yeah, sure shit, there he is.
Wow. And you saw the picture?
Yeah, he showed us the picture.
It looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Dang. So you didn't get like a picture of that picture, I guess.
No, I did. I should have asked.
I know.
I should have asked him. Damn it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that is. Damn. Did not even think about it.
Guess you should have took me.
Oh, damn. Well, let's go. I want to go back.
Yeah, some of the things I was reading too looks like there's random piano sounds being played, and a woman in white.
Yeah, this woman in white apparently talks to kids.
Oh, like the living
kids. Okay. Yeah.
And interesting.
A lot of people have had experiences that they talk about this woman in white talking to them. I guess he's talked about there's people that have been on this tour that have been in that Cuban club sometime during their life as a kid, and for other events. It's been so many multiple things since then. Uh-huh. But for some, and there's like a theater. There's a big theater in the stage and everything in there. So anyways, they've talked about being in there as a kid and being grabbed and talked to by some woman in white.
Oh, interesting.
And they've been on the tour and say, yeah, I've actually been talked to by some woman here like that in that whole scenario. But I would like to have heard a personal story. that would have been cool to hear something like that.
Interesting. But they didn't talk about the history. I didn't read anything about who this woman of white is or could be potentially.
Yes.
Okay.
So she was this mobster's sister.
Oh.
And so she was kind of like untouchable.
Okay.
And so she was good looking. So she was like out there flaunting her shit, but just kind of being a little floozy about it.
Oh God.
So anyways, she decided to finally like settle down with somebody. And she was been seeing multiple dudes. That's kind of how she was playing. So she decided to just pick one dude, and she picked that dude and was gonna be with him. And they were up on that building, kind of looking over the edge, and one of the boyfriends that she kind of had to cut it off with wasn't having none of that. He was like, if you ain't with me, you ain't gonna be with nobody. Type of jealous.
Wow.
So while she was looking over the side with her new fiance, this jealous guy comes over behind her, grabs her, and tosses over the side.
What?
She tumbles, boom, hits the cement. That's pretty high up there. It's a good 30 feet or plus. So she's done for. The fiance turns around, pulls out his gun, blasts that jealous guy right in the face. He's dead. So Whoa. 2 deaths, boom, boom, right there.
That's a pretty cool story.
That's the woman that they think that they're seeing.
Okay, all right, huh?
I forgot about that story. That just popped right back in my head.
Wow. Okay.
So that's her story.
Yeah, and you just mentioned there's a theater in there.
Yes.
So there's another story. And I didn't see much about this, but I guess one of the actors, I don't really know why, but I guess he committed suicide on the stage during a performance.
And I don't remember much about this being said. I might have been trying to do other stuff during that, but I don't remember much about hearing that story about this actor. But there was a story about one of the board members of the club, the president actually, getting blasted in the face
with another board member.
Yeah. Unnamed, because nobody gave up who it was.
No snitching
in the club. So I guess the president was accusing somebody of stealing money from the board.
Oh.
And the way he was going about and accusing was getting pretty personal and talking some mad shit. And this guy wasn't having it, pulled out his heat and was like, right to the face, bud. And I guess everyone kind of determined, you know what? He was probably the one stealing the money and trying to put the blame on someone else. And everybody kind of caught on to it and probably gave him judgment right then and there.
Wow.
And so when the police came to like solve the issue here, nobody was giving each other up. So they were like, well, nobody here saw it. I guess none of us did it. So the cops had nothing. And the case was closed as I can't remember how but I guess just undetermined. I don't know. And so anyways, his ghost apparently is there because the tour guide, he said about it was his 3rd week into doing tours, and he was setting up to do a paranormal investigation in there, and there was only about 4 of them in there. And as they were setting up on the stage, one of them had to go back out for something or other, so there was only 3 of them in there. And as the 3 of them were in there, they could hear footsteps coming up from behind them. So they thought maybe it's their buddy number 4's coming back. Hey, number 4. So they turned around to see number 4, and instead it is the ghost of the
full body apparition.
Wow. But they said the way he looks is that his eyes are separated more. So kind of seems like that's where they seen where the gunshot was right between the eyes, probably because it separated them. So the way he seen him was with his eyes off, but he goes, walks right up to these guys, right up to their face, and says, "Get out!"
Jeez.
And instantly gone. The moment he says it, boom, gone.
That freaked me out.
So yeah, they still, I guess they still investigated, but I don't know if they got much that night. They didn't talk much. He didn't say much. I don't know. Maybe they left. I don't know.
I don't know if I saw a ghost that was clearly shot in the head walk up to me and tell me to get out.
And then disappeared.
I probably would do what he asked.
Yeah. I'm like, I got my evidence for the night.
Well, what if you didn't get that as the evidence, though?
Well, I guess in my head, that's my evidence that I'm done.
I don't know. I would have been like, do you really want me out?
I don't know. How many times have you been on an investigation where people, this seems to be like a go-to question when people at the K2, they're like, if you want us to leave, make the K2 light up. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen that.
That's just people going, I kind of just want to go home. This one tells us to go home. Oh, look, it told us to go home. We should probably go, guys.
That's exactly what it is.
That's just them trying to get home.
Well, then it's always like, oh, you didn't respond? That must mean you want me to leave.
So I wonder, like...
That makes so much sense now.
See? Yeah.
So, like, this spirit, it looks like he's potentially has a bullet hole in the middle of his head. So I wonder, like, is your spirit, like, what you last were? Or can you, like... I wonder if you can modify your spirit.
Brandy already said that.
The what?
The ones that have not crossed over, the ones that are stuck here, still do look like the way they died.
Okay. So I went back. Can we go back to when I was like 22?
If you crossed over, if you crossed over, you can you come back and present yourself in the way that you felt at your prime.
Like she's mentioned before to me about how she's seen some spirits, and one of the ones I remember is if you've heard anything about the stories of Fear Factory here in Salt Lake, there was a transient that in order to kill himself, he put his head down on the train tracks and let the train run over him. So the first time we ever went there, before we even went in the building, it was just in the parking lot. She's like, "Oh, that's disturbing." And I'm like, "What?" And I don't think she knew about this story at the time. I think I told her about it after because she doesn't like watching those shows and stuff like that. I found out from Ghost Adventures, but she mentioned to me that there was a spirit walking around without a head. Wow. So yeah, like Dale just said, from our experience and from what she sees, is you look the way you did when you died, like the clothing you were wearing and everything like that. Like,
interesting.
She has her spirit guide sort of that follows her around. It's her one of her grandmas had died in a fire, and just the way that she describes her grandma to me, she's like on one side of her body is just like all burnt and stuff. And when she's describing this, and I've asked her this, I don't know how many times, I'm just like, does it ever light up? Do you see the ambers glowing in her? And I don't remember the answer.
I am curious though. I am kind of curious on that answer.
Like a glowing ember.
I mean, it makes sense.
Thoughts are just
yeah, she's like describing the way that her grandma looks and how she died in a fire, and I'm just like curious, like, now is it cool looking? Like, does she glow? Like
a Yule log?
I mean, that's a pretty legitimate question. I'm kind of curious now. Huh?
She thought it was funny. She listened to our first episode, and when I was talking to her today, she thought it was funny that one of us mentioned, it was probably me, that I was just like, you're going to be hearing that name a lot in the show. And she thought it was funny that we said that.
Here we go again with it. This is going to be every
Brandy.
episode.
Hi, Brandy.
It's us again.
All right, awesome. So that's the Cuban Club. Interesting.
So that makes me wonder, like, if the woman in the white, if she crossed over, because I guess she only talks to kids, and if kids aren't afraid, like if she died, like she fell all this distance and she died. And,
right.
Like, you'd think maybe
Splattered.
that like her face was crushed in or something or whatever. But with
She
kids,
might have
like,
landed on her back.
she could have. You're right. I don't know.
Just the back of her head's probably all smashed in.
That's possible. I'm kind of curious now. Like, I want to go there and be like, hey, what do you look like? Show yourself.
Yeah. See how hot you are.
See what the hype's all about.
See why this guy's so jealous.
Oh, jeez.
Awesome. So anything else you remember from the Cuban Club? That's all I can remember seeing, researching it.
Anything? Oh, so after the kid drowned in the pool, they actually cemented that over like the next day. So that would never happen again.
Oh.
So they were just like, yeah, no pool for anybody. I know, what a waste. Ruining everything.
Ruining all the fun.
Yeah. Parents can't have fun.
That's the Cuban Club.
Yeah, the Cuban
You have to
Club.
go somewhere else.
Yep. No more pools for them. But yeah, for the most part, that was it. We got to investigate it, and I wasn't feeling much.
Like, were you there long enough for like a good investigation?
No.
And you're probably in a crowd.
Yeah. And everybody has those old ghost meters, not the Ghost Meter Pro, the ghost meters. And those things are just loud pieces of shit. It just beep, beep,
it's
beep,
just
beep.
another EMF meter.
Yeah, it's just an EMF meter.
It doesn't even. The milligauss only
everything.
goes to like 5. It doesn't. It's not even as good as the K2.
No, not even close to a K2, and everything sets it off, and it was just annoying.
You tell them, hey, it's time to upgrade. These aren't too
Well,
expensive.
he used to have some other equipment, and every piece of equipment that they would use, people were dropping it, breaking it.
Yeah, okay.
So he's like, well, this is all you guys get. You guys bring your own shit then. And remember I talked about I was going to bring some, and I didn't, and I regret it because...
then everyone would want to use your stuff.
I would have been the king of the show. I would have ran that shit.
Or they want to use your stuff and drop your stuff.
No, I wouldn't let them touch it. I'd be like, no, if you want to see me use it, you can see me use it.
Stand next to me.
Yeah, you can stand next to me.
That's the problem with like public investigations. I love going on them, but it's when people find out, like if you just buy a ticket and go with somebody else, people find out you know what you're doing. They just kind of like follow you around. It's like, no, leave me alone. Go do your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody knew. I wasn't talking to nobody.
But if you had pulled out your equipment and started like, oh, look, here's my K2, here's this, and people are going to be like, I'm going to follow that guy.
I'll just tell them, you know what, guys? Wear your mask and stay 6 feet away from me. And I'll just keep walking away and kind of going close.
6 feet.
If I was there, you'd be like, Tim, lay down if anyone gets too close.
Yeah, I'd set up basketball plays.
All right, so you talk about the main building here.
Yes,
the Don Vicente Inn.
Yeah, that was a spooky bitch.
So tell us about your tour with it. And I was kind of looked up some history. Well, we all have, but talk about your tour at this place.
Okay, I won't talk about the history much. I'll just talk about what the tour showed us and what I experienced there.
I guess we can talk about what, like, just a brief, like what it was or who built it, or.
Well, yeah, talk about that first, then. Yeah.
Or I guess the most prominent story is a doctor. So it was used as a clinic and an inn. So it was used as a medical clinic and an inn. And so a doctor ran it with his wife and son. But anyway, so kind of talk about just the brief history of it, the building.
So anyways, the tour, they were showing us this. He kind of told us the history of what was going on in the basement. And we'll get to what was going on in the basement. Okay. And it was a lot of uneasy feelings down in the basement. He kind of also told us about this room while it was a hotel, and this room not being, having a lot of bad shit going on in this room. So he has, after he tells us what kind of the experiences that have happened there, I'll tell you about the experience with this room, though. This room,
okay.
So this room has been known to have a lot of noises coming at night, where it sounds like scratching going on, footsteps running around. Sounds like there's people talking in your room, talking to you. There's people talking about shadow figures.
It's just this one room, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
How many rooms would you guess are there?
Maybe not even 20, maybe 20.
Oh, okay.
Not a lot. I don't think there would be a lot.
Okay.
So anyways, the tour guide said for payback for his brother, for the years of torment as a child, because he was a younger brother, he was going to get his brother this room, this haunted room.
So the tour guide had his brother coming in town.
Yes, his brother was from Jersey.
Okay.
And his brother was going to come to Ybor City to visit his family and his brother. And his brother was like, yeah, come to town. I'll get you a room.
I know just the room.
Yeah, so he doesn't tell his brother what goes on in this room.
Okay.
He's already been, and he's been doing these tours already. He has connections in the town. He pulled some strings and got that room.
That's funny.
So he gets the room for his brother. Does not tell his brother a thing about this room.
Okay.
Gets his brother all shit-faced, splitter-pantsed, and all that good stuff at the bars. Drops him back at the hotel room like at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He's all drunk, drops him off, tells him, okay, I'll be back at like 10 a.m. to get you. Comes back over a little early, like 9:30, 9:45-ish. His brother's already outside, waiting on the steps. It's like, what the hell, man? He's like, I don't. Something's in that room. He's like, I could not sleep. Something is in that room.
Wow.
And he's all, what happened to you? He's like, all night long, I could hear voices. I could hear scratching on the headboard. I could hear footsteps running around the bed.
Oh,
and
and
then there was somebody in the room. There was somebody, I guess, a shadow figure chilling at the bed, at the end of the foot of the bed, but progressively getting closer and freaking him out to the point where he got the hell out and went down to the lobby. And I guess was trying to sleep in the lobby as much as he could until the sun came out and went outside.
Wow.
Scared the shit out of him. So anyways, that was this room that was in there. I guess the room was like 135, something like that.
So Beaker, what would you do if you saw like a shadow figure in your room in a hotel that came closer and closer?
I'd probably try to talk to it.
Okay. With devices or just straight up try?
Oh no, just try to talk to it. Like I've been trying to use more of my intuition and stuff like that when I do investigations. If I had devices, I'd probably pull like out my EMF meter or something. But I'd be like, "What do you want?" Like
rub my feet or go away.
Are you gonna tickle something, or are you gonna?
I'm trying to sleep here, guy. Like,
or either get in the bed or get the hell out.
No, I'm seriously like I probably would because there was like when we had that earthquake last year. Like my bed's shaking, right?
Yeah.
And I wake up and my first thought is it's a ghost, and I just yelled out, I'm like, "Stop it!" Like literally, my first thought is my bed's shaking. It's a ghost, and I'm like, "Knock it off." So like, yeah, if I saw something coming at me, I'd just be like, I can kind of feel energy too. So like, if it wasn't feeling negative, I'd just be like, "Can I help you?" If I felt like I was in danger, like I'd probably leave. But especially if I'm by myself, like I'm not gonna. If like Dell was cuddling with me, I'd be like, what's up, bitch? Like
that's not what you say when I cuddle with you.
No, not to you, to the ghost.
Oh, okay.
I got to put on a brave face for Dell. Like, but if I'm by myself, I'll probably peace out.
He's usually just
depending on
his lip.
Depending on the.
He doesn't talk much.
That's what she said. Yeah, no, depending on the vibe, the energy that I feel in the room. Like if I felt like it was negative in nature, if I felt like it wanted to hurt me, I'd probably leave.
Yeah.
But if I didn't get that feeling, if I felt like it was more like wanting help, I might try to talk to it and figure out what's going on. So it all depends on the energy in the room. Now, having said that, looking at the pictures that Dell took and some pictures I found online, I kind of feel like it is negative, so I probably would have just packed up my shit and left.
I'm out of this room.
So during he was telling us all the stuff that happened in this place, he told us to go ahead and we could look at the glass doors and we could see the entrance to the stairs that go to the basement.
Okay.
He's all, go ahead and look down there. People get a creepy vibe.
Because you guys couldn't go in this building.
No. He used to have access to this building before, after COVID hit and all these things that got shut down. There's only the U.S. government that is occupying one little section of that building, so they are not allowing public in there anymore because of that. So he was cool with that because he was like, the stuff in here is negative, so I'm kind of okay with not going in there anymore. So he's all, did you feel anything? I'm like, actually, I didn't feel shit from looking at the basement. Looking up those stairs, I felt everything right at the top of those stairs. And is there something there's something going on up there? And he's like, funny you say that. That room I mentioned, 135, you would think it's on the first floor, but it's actually right at the top of those stairs. And I said, like, right there. And I pointed at it. And he's all, actually, yeah, you're right there. We're at the corner of the building. We just went around the corner and pointed right to where I was pointing. He's like, that's room 135.
Oh, wow.
And showing that picture of the building to Beaker over here, I showed him the building, and he pointed right to the section of that building where that energy is coming from.
Yeah, you didn't even see, at this point, you hadn't even told us any of these stories yet. You just showed me the picture, and I'm like, there's energy right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you guys say that, when you guys just look at this picture and say, oh, there's an energy here, like, what does that mean? Like, for the listeners, when you say that, what are you talking about? What are you feeling? What are you saying?
Energy visions of the paranormal. That's exactly what we're saying.
Hence our name.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Duh.
Ghosts
and stuff. Duh.
So it's like spidey senses. You just feel some tingling in nether regions or what?
Yeah. Kinda, actually, for me, it's in my left arm. like through
Oh,
my left
for
hand.
real?
Yeah.
Oh.
So like when I feel energy, I've been trying to work on like feeling it with my right side as well, but it's always for me. It's always been on my left.
Like, what does it feel like? Like a numbing, a
It
tingling?
it feels like so. If it's positive energy, it feels more like kind of like your arm fell asleep. Like it's that tingly, like it's not like a bad sensation. It's kind of like that tingling sensation you get when your arm falls asleep. When if it's negative energy, my arm feels heavy.
Huh.
For me, mine's all up in my head, and it's like I feel a pull, and that pull will like just guide me into a direction, and either I'll see something in my head of what is there, or I don't. And I can't really turn that on and off yet. It just kind of happens, and the whole getting pulled to that, I have to like be concentrating on that, but it's always my head. It's not anything else, as much as I want it to be.
And my sensors are way tuned down compared to either of you, but that's kind of what it is. But mine's, it's almost like that feeling of like somebody's watching you. It's kind of like that feeling. So you kind of when you feel like someone's watching you, you kind of look towards like a direction sometimes. That's kind of how mine is like that. It's kind of like that. It's like I just feel like something's watching me.
And that's usually the case.
Yeah, that's right.
Usually. Always the case. Okay. Somebody is.
So that's what the guy said. So the guy said, yeah, where you're kind of feeling something drawing you towards, that was actually the room.
That was actually the room. Yep.
All right.
And yeah, I was like, well, shit. I did it again. I did it again. And so did you.
we cracked the case. It's haunted.
It's where it's at.
Is this place haunted? Yes.
Yes, it is. It's right there.
My
Next
arm
building,
is
please.
tingling.
Next building, sir.
What is it? I can't tell you. It's just haunted.
I'm not
Let's
going
go.
up there. We obviously can't go inside.
So anything else on the tour of this building?
So that was pretty much the tour. That was all the tour we got of the physical building.
Okay.
But he told us the history and stuff, which we'll get into right now.
All right.
So do you want to? Which you guys want to
Yeah,
talk
if you want
about?
to go Beaker?
It was built in 1890.
By
A guy,
named
Don
something.
something.
Everyone's Don.
Don Vicente. No.
I think probably. Actually, I was looking up a couple of the buildings, and a lot of them were built by like a Vicente or a Vincent, which was kind of like, I know it's a few buildings, and I was like, oh, that's
And I
pretty
wonder if
interesting.
maybe that was just named after the homage to him. I don't know.
I just know that like Travel Channel and other places call it Hotel Hell.
They did
Yeah,
because there was a lot of mobster shit going on in there. So I'll talk about one of the things. The very first serial killer of Ybor City was doing his serial killings in this building.
Yeah, so like I was mentioning earlier when I just did a brief history, it was run by a doctor.
So yes, and so this doctor's child was a little sociopath.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yes, and he was obsessed with Frankenstein, being that was his book that was read to him every night as a child by his caregiver. So he would have caretakers. He would, as a child, like a nanny. The first nanny that he had actually up and quit because he tried to gouge her eyes out. With his thumbs because he was pissed off about something. So this little kid pounced on her, tried to gouge her eyes out.
Gosh.
Doctors thought, treated her for free, probably paid her off, and she quit. Thought, oh, maybe he's got anger issues. Then he did some other shit. I think he like stabbed another one or did something, and then they shipped him off to boarding school,
military school. Yeah, it sounds like a few things that they try to put him in, like their own solitary confinement, where he would escape it all the time. He was stealing cars, kidnapping people.
He shot one of the neighbors or some boy in the eye, and then he convinced another kid.
Oh, he convinced a little girl.
To use his homemade electric chair.
Yes, he made an electric chair. His own homemade electric chair. Convinced a 4-year-old girl to sit in it.
Because he like wrote like I guess reports about raising the dead and
Frankenstein type.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah. So I wonder if that was one of his little.
Yes, that's what he was like trying to do, the kill her and bring her back or something.
Oh my god.
I guess he was doing it to cats. He was killing cats in the neighborhood, catching cats and trying to kill them and bring them back to life.
Oh my god.
Apparently, he was schizophrenic as well.
Yeah, I could see that. And then, so
that's the excuse they use.
At boarding school, it was Christmas break. He left with a friend of his back to his friend's hometown, and was spending the Christmas holiday there. And I think that first night he stole the family car, drove off in it. They found the car abandoned, searched for him, found him assaulting a little girl or something. And he ended up doing prison time for that. When he got out is when his dad got him a job there at the morgue, in the hospital.
Yeah, so it sounds like this junior. Actually, I think he is a
junior. Yeah, they had different middle names, but it was Jose
Ramon.
Jose Ramon was the dad, and I don't remember.
Jose Luis
was the son. And I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that last name.
So as he became a employee there at the hospital and working at the morgue, there was a brothel kitty corner. And that brothel he was a frequent visitor of.
Well, I think at one point they actually kicked him out and told him he couldn't live there. And so he moved into the brothel.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Which is across the street. So they kicked him out.
They kicked him out, and so he moved across the street to the brothel,
and then,
where he started to impersonate his dad and pretend that he was a physician.
Yes.
So I said, come across the street to my...
Yeah, shady little, like, the only thing is you can only come at night, and you can only come to the basement door. That's the only way to get
So is that what he did? He would lure them in by saying that?
Saying he was a doctor, saying that he could give them free procedures, but they would have to come at night when the hospital's closed, and they'd have to come to the basement. And he
doesn't sound shady at all.
No, yeah, everything's good.
After hours through the basement doors, yeah.
Hey, it's good. Free, right?
And then he would put them under anesthesia, and then they would never wake up.
Yeah, one of the reports I read, he had a quote-unquote nurse that helped him. And she's also said to haunt. So Junior and this quote-unquote nurse is said to haunt the building as well. And so she would help him take bodies and body parts through tunnels down into the incinerator where they would dump it.
Wow. So when they ended up catching him, and I don't remember how they caught him, but he confessed to 6 murders.
Okay.
So that would explain why there's negative energy in this building.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think this happened back in like the 20s or 30s. Like this was a long time ago.
So basically 100 years ago from this point.
Yeah, because this was operating. The building was built in 1890.
And then I think it started out as like office buildings, and I think it was
real estate office.
Oh, real estate office, yeah. And then it became the clinic afterwards.
And it was a running clinic for 20 years.
Yeah, I think it was like from like 1920.
But on top of that, a lot of the mobsters were dropping off other mobsters getting shot and.
Oh, at this clinic.
At this clinic. They were just dropping their bodies and leaving them on the steps.
Okay, so a lot of just dead.
Yeah. They got to the point where, so this is what would happen at night is these nuns would be getting these bodies at night. They would be dropping off these bodies, and these guys weren't dead yet. They were like dying. And they got to the point where they were so overwhelmed with these mobsters getting killed and being left there that they didn't even want to work on them anymore. So they were just throwing their bodies into the morgue as they're dying, not even dead yet, just leaving them for dead, letting them die overnight.
Oh, wow.
So they would be screaming in there all night until they passed away.
Jeez.
Oh, jeez.
So they're said to still be screams in there. So there's a lot of anger and a lot of energy left in those deaths caused by these.
Right, yeah.
You know.
I wonder if just like one...
What would Jesus do? You know what I mean? Way to go, nuns.
I wonder if...
I believe it's pronounced Jesus in that part of the country.
Yeah, probably. So I wonder if like just one spirit went to room 135 and then just kind of magnetized more spirits to that room.
I wonder if there's a portal in there.
Oh, that's a good point
nearby.
too.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, I bet you there's some bad shit in there.
But with so many deaths, I wouldn't be surprised if just one spirit just kind of locked onto that room for whatever reason, and then it just kind of magnetized more.
They also brought, with all these cultures, Santeria.
Oh, okay.
So they even talked about that on the tour too. Some of these cultures were practicing that behind the scenes,
which is like some type of religion. I don't know how do you.
It's like another type.
I don't know. I don't practice Santeria.
I don't got no crystal ball.
I had $1 million, but I spent it all.
So we say Santeria is similar to what we might know as voodoo, or
it's similar. I mean, it's not all negative. There's a positive, there's a negative version of it.
Yeah.
Same with voodoo. There's a positive.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So same thing, but different cultures, different beliefs, but same but different, but still same.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
But yeah, so they brought that with them as well. So who knows if somebody was practicing a negative form of that in their room, or just in the proximity.
And open up a portal possibly from doing that. Interesting. We must investigate.
I would love.
But they're closed. Are they closed right now because of COVID and they will reopen? Did they say something like that?
Well, only because it's government owns a section of that building, and they're the only thing that's in that building at the moment. The other part of the rest of the building is unoccupied, but because that's government owned part of it, they're not allowing the public in.
So I believe it was a hotel and it sold back in 2015, and then they reopened it as office spaces.
Okay.
Again.
And I read something that's them being apartments. I didn't hear anything about that, but I read something about that. I don't know if that was true or not, but what else was going on in that?
I think that's all I was seeing. Kind of looking at some of the things I have here. I think
most of it was just the story based around that family.
Yes.
That kid's got problems, man.
But I wouldn't be surprised if that guy that was staying in that room and saw that shadow figure walking towards him. I wouldn't be surprised if it was that kid that was pretending to be his dad.
Just staying there, just being a bad piece of shit, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if that's who he saw.
Probably, I'm curious of the age because we're referring to him as a kid because he is a junior. But I wonder what his age is during all this.
Probably 20s, 30s.
Yeah, well, you talk about military school, so he's probably late teens, early 20s.
Probably out of there
when
by
they're trying
18.
to ship when they're probably shipping him out.
Yeah.
So this probably lasted a few years.
So he's probably mid 20s, early 20s.
Now I'm curious how he died, or.
Yeah, I don't know how he died.
Were you looking into any of that, Beaker, about Junior? What happened to him?
I had some PDF that I pulled up, and I totally don't have it anymore. Give me 1 second. I don't know if it mentioned how he died.
But I'll tell you how he lived.
He lived like a crazy. So he actually, he was born in 1907 and died in 1981.
He lived a long life.
Yeah.
Oh. Who allowed this? Who do we have to talk to? This is not okay.
Yeah. I don't see much about him, like looking him up.
If I'm reading this right, like some other dates I'm seeing here is 1903 to 1982. So, but he's still, he lived a long time.
Okay, well.
So he probably just died of being old.
Yeah, a little psychopath.
He probably just gets slipped through the cracks by saying he's crazy.
Gosh, I'm curious.
Lived a long, crazy life.
I'm not seeing a lot about him.
There was...
probably just stayed in the clinic his whole life.
Did he
right at the top, it says 1907 to 1981. So yeah, I'm going with that.
Probably just said he was cuckoo and lived a long life in a cuckoo house.
Interesting.
That's all you got to do.
So haunted Tampa.
Oh, it's. I also read here that I guess he supposedly had diplomas for. I guess it said he practiced medicine as a gynecologist and a plastic surgeon.
Of course.
With diplomas he apparently obtained during his absence in Cuba. I guess they later found out that it was possible he was running a diploma mill, and they were actually fake diplomas that he made.
Oh, okay.
Story continues.
I know that one, that says that was back in 1947. They revoked his Southern University charter. Says he was a creator and founder of numerous organizations, including the Legion de Honor de la República de Cuba, which I guess is the Legion of Honor of the Republic of Cuba.
Yeah, they couldn't Google any of this back then. They couldn't fact check shit.
Yeah, they just follow this guy.
They were just like, sure, yeah, that's legit. It's probably embossed paper. Oh, wow, fancy.
Yeah, no, he died in 1982.
Well, I'll be damned.
I'm a little surprised, but okay.
Yeah, he should have got the chair.
So I mean, these are just two buildings. I know. Beaker sent a list of most haunted buildings in that Tampa, Ybor area.
So that whole main street haunted as shit. I could tell you every single one of those buildings on that main street has tons of spirits.
Wow.
I mean,
pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it would be really cool to just talk to some of those business owners.
Does it look like pretty old town?
Yes.
Like, okay, all right.
It has to stay the same. And there's this old.
Oh, okay.
There is this restaurant that's supposedly really haunted, but one of like a really, really nice restaurant called the Columbia. And this one restaurant is like a city block.
Oh, wow.
It's huge. And I guess on their anniversary day every year, they set the prices back to what they were in 1920.
Ah, cool.
Right? But they've opened up like 3 other locations or something around the Florida area called the Columbia.
Was the 20s the Prohibition time too?
Yeah.
Okay. So the 20s was the Prohibition, then it hit the 30s, and then the Great Depression hit. There's a lot of crazy stuff in that couple decades.
But yeah, so that's been the same restaurant, has been the original restaurant and everything has been there this whole time.
Wow.
I don't know if it was 1920, maybe even earlier than that.
Okay.
I would have to look it up. But anyways, that building would be dope.
Interesting.
I think we should go inside that building just to take a look. It's pretty cool looking from the outside, seeing like through the windows.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Tampa and Ybor.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting name. Ybor.
Well, that was the guy that founded the city. That was his last name.
Well, I guess he actually bought the city to make it as a cigar
building city.
A factory and mill, and just to do
banded
cigars
together with all these other big cigar companies and said, "Let's build this city on rock and roll, guys,
and cigars."
And they smoked the night away.
Yep.
How many song references can we put in this episode?
I'm just going for it, man.
Awesome. Anything else we want to touch on this?
I just want to touch on you guys after this.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I guess nothing says love and like you got to keep it in the family. I totally messed that up because it's like 1 in the morning. What time is it?
It's late.
It's almost 2 in the morning.
It's the witching hour, folks.
It is.
It's almost 2 in the morning. Let's go talk to some ghosts.
Yeah, let's get spooky.
All right. We got to talk to you guys next week.
All right. Thanks again for listening, guys.
Peace out, butterflies.
Bye.
This is the EVP Podcast.